Yes, we finally made it. We finally created a pack for the Kemper Profiling Amp. We're super excited to launch it today. We had a lot of fun profiling all these amps, some of the amps that I have in my other studio and some of my friends' amps too. It's been such a fun ride. We really hope you enjoy these presets. It's great for worship guitarists, blues, lead guitarists, all kinds of, we try to put a little bit of everything on this pack. You can go down in the description below to find a link where you can get these tones, some of the tones you just heard in the intro video. And I'll be demonstrating more tones at the end of the video. But before, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about what I think of the Kemper today. So it's been more than 10 years since the Kemper Profiling Amp was released, and oh boy, was it ahead of its time. The Kemper came to revolutionize the whole amp simulation industry, bringing a new way to capture your favorite amps in a way that was nearly identical. It was without a doubt a breakthrough technology that made a pretty big impact in this industry. I'm a huge fan of the way the Kemper sounds, and I own or have owned pretty much all of its competitors like the Fractal, the Helix, and now the Quad Cortex. But there are a couple of things 10 years after it was released that I think Kemper could improve on. We live in an era of touchscreens, computers, mobile devices, and although these units were meant for professional gigging use, more and more musicians are buying them for their personal use in their home studios, churches, and even in their bedrooms. And I really think that the user interface could benefit from a facelift. Maybe it's a personal preference, and some of you might like the idea of having a monochrome screen with menu navigation done with buttons and knobs. But I'm already missing this whole new experience that other devices like the Quad Cortex are providing, which is a pretty small unit and it's really pleasant to navigate through. The second biggest thing about the Kemper is the fact that it can only load one amp. We cannot have two amps being played at the same time, which also means that all the effects that are placed before the amp block must be mono. And a lot of guitarists these days, like worship guitarists, ambient guitarists, are finding their tones in stereo amp setups, or at least would like to have the option of using stereo amps. We use a lot of effects before and after the amp blocks. And I don't really follow the forums or any of the news with Kemper, and I have no idea if they're working on a Kemper 2, but if they are, I think this would be something very important or a key feature that it should have. So even though sonically Kemper's technology still sounds great, and I recommend it to everyone, the amps and the effects sound amazing, I'm still crossing my fingers for a Kemper successor that will satisfy at least my needs. So what features are you missing from the Kemper more than 10 years after it was launched? Let me know in the comments below. Throughout the years, I've been collecting and working on my own profiles of my personal amps and some friends' amps too. And today I'm proud to introduce my Kemper Profiling Pack that's available for purchase at the link below. You're gonna find two folders in this pack, one called Just the Amps, which contains the drive profiles of my amps and some combinations of my favorite drive pedals. There's also another folder called The Cool Ones, and this one contains preset style profiles that has combinations of amps, delays, reverbs, modulations, and some of these tones you were able to hear in the intro song of this video. And because a lot of you guys follow me for my worship tones, I also included 3 worship presets that you guys can use with your favorite guitars. I also included some clean tones with modulation, a couple of ambient pads, and some crunch and lead tones. I hope you enjoy them. I'll play through some of the presets for you to have an idea of what they sound like. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, if you want to get these tones, you can find them in the link below. All right, so we're all plugged up and we're ready to show you some of the preset profiles that we have in this pack. As I mentioned before, we have 3 worship platforms. All three of them have a little bit of a different characteristic, a little bit of a different flavor to it. You can combine it with your favorite guitar and just have fun with it. So it's 3 of them. It's called, the first one is called the Worship one. The second one is called the Divided Worship, based on the Divided by 13 amp, and the British Worship, based of course on the Vox AC30. So yeah, this is the first one. It's called the Worship one. This is how it sounds. That's the Worship one. The second one that we have is the Divided Worship, and it sounds like this. And the third one, it's called the British Worship. And remember, I'm changing all of these profiles from the rig manager, which you are going to need in order to import these presets into the Kemper. So this third one is called the British Worship. All right, so those are the three worship platforms that we have. We also included some blocks that are deactivated by default, but if you want a kilt type of overdrive, driving the front of the amp, we have a block that's inside of all of these presets that you can activate in order to get more out of this profile. Let's take a listen to some of the other presets that we have in the pack. All right, so the next tone I'd like to show you is called Pope's Clean. This tone was popularized by the guys at Bethel. And for this preset, you want to use your bridge pickup because it basically rolls off all of the harshness, all of the high end of the guitar, but also makes it really distinctive. And I really like this sound. It sounds like this. All right, so the next preset is called the Chaos Kilt. This is a pretty cool preset because it's basically a very dirty lead tone, and it's a lot of delays and reverbs pushing the front of the amp, creating this really cool chaos of drives, but also having some space for the lead notes to come through. So it sounds like this. And we also wanted to include some really cool cleans and crunch and lead sounds. And this preset is called the Leader. And it's just a basic lead tone, but this will work great on single coils, humbuckers. A lot of times I had struggled finding a nice lead tone, and this is a solution for that. So this is the Leader. And since I'm a huge fan of blues tones and John Mayer, we included Mayer's Blues. This preset is based off of course, John Mayer's bluesy tone, and it kind of sounds like this. We also included a couple of pad ambient tones on this pack. This one is called Galaxies. We also have Drive the B3, which is a rotary speaker, vibrato kind of tone. We included a little bit of overdrive in front of the amp, which you can always turn off if you want a cleaner tone. And this is what it sounds like. All right, so these are some of the tones that you're gonna find in this preset profile pack for Kemper. We're starting off with around 12 to 15 presets and 10 to 15 amps and amp drive combination, but this list is going to be growing with time. So make sure you send us an email if it's been a while since you purchased this pack. It's going to be in a link down in the description below. And like I said before, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.